Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suavelous day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence to pay. Okay,
I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled. Dr. Brother Suave,
divine light give you double.
Hey there, greeting. This is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Man, we're going to be on fire tonight on this season 6, episode 8 called Father's Rights. Man, listen, this is something that has impacted millions. And I say millions because so many people have been impacted. And the families are being impacted. Our children are being impacted. And this is the story that many people like to contradict. They like to challenge. They definitely like to say that's not true. But guess what? We having it's nothing like evidence-based research. It's nothing like evidence-based, but we're going to have a very special guest who has proven and got laws and bills passed by the House and the Senate. And man, listen, we're going to be excited. We're going to have some powerful, it will be a mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening experience. See, Black men, we are fathers. You know, we are husbands. We're leaders. And guess what? We're dope. So we're going to have a very dope champion tonight. Listen, according to the most recent report, this is some statistics and published by the U.S. Census Bureau in 2020, based on the data from 2017 to 2018, the percentage of custodial fathers in the United States has increased to 16% in 1994 and to 17.5 in 2014, and then 20.1 in 2018. So what we're saying is gradually going up. And what's happening is more and more fathers are taking the initiative and not just believing the street hype that the mother is automatically going to the father. Automatically going to custody is not automatically going to the mother. It's in the best interest of the child. So as people assert themselves, fathers assert themselves, they're getting better results. And what I do is challenge those fathers out there who are having some challenges getting their rights being violated. You're going to be happy about this new bill being passed. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about tonight's guest, Dr. Bernard WH Jennings. He was driven by a deeply personal experience as he emerged as a passionate advocate for fathers' rights and family unity. His journey began when his child's mother decided to withhold co-parenting responsibility and relocated their child without his knowledge or his consent. Faced with challenges of an unwed father seeking legal redress, he discovered a systematic issues that resonated with countless fathers across Florida and the nation. Recognizing the urgency of the problem, he embraced on a mission to change the law in the state of Florida. In addition, October 2022, he authored a compelling proposal presented to the state legislature urging to rectify the legal inadequacies faced by unwed fathers. By his unwavering determination and commitment to creating change bore fruit when Bill 775, known as the Good Fathers Act, was passed unanimously and support in both the House and the Senate. This historic legislation signed into law on July 1st, 2023. And what it did was it granted unwed fathers the equal rights to their children, regardless of marital status. At the time of the child's birth, fathers are now empowered with authority and to participate actively in the decisions related to their children's well-being, spanning healthcare, education, religion, and other critical aspects. It says, with the Good Dads Act successfully enacted in Florida, his vision encompasses a comprehensive educational campaign to raise awareness among individuals, professionals, policymakers about the vital importance of equal parental rights. He believes in a brightened future where every child can experience love, care, and support of both parents. And he invited all individuals and organizations to join him in realizing the transformational mission. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. H.C. Bernard WH Jennings.
Good evening.
Welcome, Dr. Jennings, man. How are
Good
you
evening.
doing?
I'm good. How you doing? Thank you for the invite.
Man, I'm doing suave-tastic, man. I got the chills, man, because you know, at the end of the day, it's one thing that resonates when you have experienced these things, and you know, and it's almost like countless people have told me that's not true. Why would they do this? You must have done, always pointing the finger, always saying we had to do something. But the funny thing is, it's always people take it how they want. It's always the brothers who handle their business. It's always the ones who are smart, educated, driven, got the resources, and perceived as arrogant because we know our worth, we know what we're doing, and we want the best interest for our children. And it's always that instant knee-jerk reflection, take our children from us and hide them from us. It's just automatic. And the funny thing is, if it wasn't true, these bills wouldn't get passed.
Right. Absolutely.
So I know I'm a little passionate about it, but listen, just go ahead and tell people a little bit. So although I just read the dissertation, but just go ahead and tell them in your own words a little about yourself and what we're going to get down.
Thank you, Dr. Brother Suave. You know, I appreciate the invite, and you're absolutely right. It's okay to be passionate about the things you care about, because if you don't show your passion, then others won't understand that you have passion for the things you care about, and they won't take you seriously. Sometime last year, after being what I think is a good father, a great father to my son was 7 years old at the time. I took primarily care of my son. Him and his mom and I broke up almost 5 years ago. And after they broke up, she sold her house and moved around town, was traveling different places, Dubai and different things. And I didn't have a problem with it. Every time she called me and said, hey, I got to be gone. Can you watch our son for the next 2 weeks? I said, no problem. I'll pick him up. Nope. Never questioned where she was going. I was living my own life, and I thought she was moving on with hers. I'm great. I met a young lady and got involved in a relationship. 4 years later, I announced that I was getting married last June to friends and family. And all of a sudden, my son's mother, after having been gone for 2 months in a row at that point and haven't been in touch with my son, decides she want to come get him and just take him off where she's going. I'm like, okay, well, where are you going to go? She refused to tell me where she was going with him. Fast forward from there, she tried to get a pickup order from the judge to come get him and take him away. We had a mediation and said how we're going to, co-parent over the summer. I had him in karate class and doing different coding and robotics courses. And we came to an agreement with the judge, and that went on again for another couple of months, for July and August. And in September, she had to hire an attorney and filed a motion with the judge that I was not actually the father, that I didn't have paternity and I didn't have any rights to visitation, and she didn't agree with the mediation that we had done, and she didn't want to have any participation with me. She went and removed my son from school I went to go pick him up my day. I picked him up every Friday from school and kept him till Monday for the last 7 years. I go that particular day of September of last year, and my son was gone. You can imagine the fear and the pit of your stomach. You go to the school to get your child, and they say, oh, he's not here. Where is he? The mother withdrew him. You mean she took him home early? No. She withdrew him from school. She said she's not coming back here anymore. Wait, where's she going? She wouldn't say where she's going. So I'm calling her on the phone. She's not answering the phone. I'm calling her father and her mother. They don't know where she's at. I'm calling her friends. She's missing. So, that's like, okay, what do you do? Your child's been, well, she was the mother. She's going to come around soon. That didn't happen. Then I get calls from DCF saying, we've got a call that says your child is in danger and you need to come see us so we can investigate what's going on. I said, what do you mean? I don't have my child. His mother took him from school the other day and I haven't seen him since. Well, we have an anonymous call that you've endangered your child and your fiance. I'm like, what's going on? Right. And then, we report to the DCF and talk to them about what's happened, realize that the mom has made these allegations when it was never an allegation before. And now she's gone with the child. That went on for about 3 weeks to a month. And I was able to finally, get to a hearing before the judge. And in the hearing, it was a Zoom hearing like this. And the judge was saying that, they filed this motion to cancel the case that we had in court, the temporary case, because I didn't have paternal rights because my name was on the birth certificate. But in Florida, you don't have rights to the child when in Florida. The child in Florida and most states, almost all 50 states, is the property of the mother, just like her cell phone. So she's free to go where she wants. And I've heard stories before where people have children and they're paying child support. They don't know where the child is. He's in another state and they're paying child support and they can't find him. And you hear those things that happen to other people, but till it happens in your backyard, you hear these stories, it doesn't resonate what the problem is. So in that video call with the judge was like, Mr. Jennings, you have to serve her and you have to serve her papers for paternity and custody to establish your rights. I said, okay, no problem. I'll serve her. Give me her address. She refused to give her address. I said, Your Honor, can you compel her to give me her address so I can serve her? No, I cannot. Well, can her attorney accept service? The attorney says, no, she cannot. I said, well, can I ask her if she'll accept service? Her attorney says, no, you cannot. I said, Your Honor, what can you do? She says, nothing, Mr. Jennings, have a good day. I said, have a good day. I haven't seen my son in a month and she's gone. I don't know where she's at. And you're saying I have to have how am I going to have a good day? Thank you, Mr. Jennings. And they ended the meeting. I was like, what? All these stories I've heard of other people flashed through my head. I said, no, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to be like that football player that you saw on news. He said his kid comes back when he's 19 years old saying, I hate you. Where were you? You were gone. You were a deadbeat. You missed my prom. You missed my high school this. You missed my that. And you weren't there for me because you're a deadbeat dad. I said, that's not going to be my narrative. So when I got off that call, I got on my computer right here where I'm sitting right now, and I wrote a proposal to the state legislature. When I was a kid growing up, I remember on Saturday morning, there was a show that used to come on, a little cartoon for about a half an hour called Schoolhouse Rock. You remember that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it was a little song that came on there with a little cartoon character of a piece of paper rolled up as a bill.
Yeah, the bill.
And it says, I am a bill. I'm only a bill, and I'm living on Capitol Hill, and I am. And he would talk to you about how a bill becomes law. Plus, I'm a college graduate. Got a master's in public administration from FAMU, Florida University.
Okay.
And Florida Memorial in Miami. So I know how a bill becomes law. I know some things or two about creating legislation. Let me put it to work. Wrote the proposal, submitted to the state, to a couple state representatives around South Florida, asking them if they can support this bill. This is very important what's going on. And this is not only affects me, but it's affecting, hundreds and thousands of men across the country. A couple of representatives said they couldn't do it. They didn't have room. You can only do 6 bills per state representative. And then one representative was able to pick it up. His name was Christopher Benjamin. Shout out to Christopher Benjamin. And he's actually a Florida Memorial University graduate. He went to school the same time that I went to school at Florida Memorial. So that's how I was able to connect with him quicker. And then he presented, he said, Bernard, I like the bill. Let me see if I can put it forward. So he sent it to the legal department at the Florida legislature. And about a week later, he says, Bernard, they said they like the bill. We're going to move forward with the bill. Yes. Then he communicated with the chairperson for the state representatives, the leader, and the leader who's a Republican said, okay, it's a good friendly bill. We're going to move forward the bill. The bill moved through several committees over the month of December and January. Simultaneously, I was filing my own documents in court, trying to challenge what was going on in court with my son's mother not being able to communicate with him. I was able to get another hearing in court where I did some research about the law and how you can't just pull a filing in court, even though I'm an adverse party. What they try to do is pull the documents from court as if it never happened. I was able to do that research and file something in court and got another hearing. The judge declared on December the 9th, 2022, that I was my son's father. So I was already his father for 7 years, but I didn't become legally his father till December 9th, 2022. So that established my paternity. But what that established was that I had the financial responsibility to pay, not that I was had any custody rights. But the judge, fortunately, at that time, gave me temporary rights for custody. Meanwhile, the bill's going through the state legislature. It went through several committees, 6 committees on the House side, 6 committees in the Senate side, and then the governor signed it into law July 1 of this year, which took about 8 months. And right now, the law of the land says when a father has a child out of wedlock in the state of Florida, when he steps up, if his name's on the birth certificate, because he signed the birth certificate, he's considered the father, and he established his own paternity, and he stands with the mother head to head, shoulder to shoulder, with the same rights with her to access to the child's education, his religion, and all things pertinent to the child as far as health, as if they were married, though he's not. That's what the bill says. And they coined the bill the Ethan's Good Dad Act. So the Ethan's Good Dad Act right now is the law of the land in Florida, which is affecting men all over the state, whether they know it or not. So we put on a mission now. We created a website, www.gooddadact.com, gooddadact.com, where we've created a committee through the Biscayne Gardens Chamber of Commerce, where I'm the president. It's a volunteer relationship with the chamber, where we have about 85 to 95 people participate across the country with this committee. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m., we meet. And we have fathers in Florida, various counties throughout Florida: Palm Beach, Broward County, Polk County, Hillsborough County, Leon County, Duval County, fathers in Arkansas, Michigan, Kansas, New York, Georgia, Texas, meeting every week to help put together the plan to place this law on the state legislature's agenda in every state in the country over the next few years, so we can pass the Good Dad Act everywhere in the country. And it's been very successful. We actually had a meeting today with Mr. Lamberti's office, who's a state representative in District 2 in Michigan, and he's actually accepted the bill and walking it through that process there.
And is this what I'm saying? Champion Dr. Jennings, because I'm telling you. And the thing is, I tried something similar to that years ago. Unfortunately, my resources, because it's different when you're married. So you have certain rights, and it goes automatic. The only thing, they expedite everything really quick because a lot of that stuff is already established. The paternity, you're married, you have the rights, and so but they immediately go straight to your finances and straight. So I didn't have house, my car, my resources. Remember, she wasn't working, and so that means stuff has to be paid, and the child support is always established day one. And so I had property, but the property wasn't suited for me calling myself, I want my child to come with me. All the resources they're gonna do, almost like you was trying to build a foster home. They're gonna do a checklist. Oh, this is this not right. That window's not right. It's not safe. And so it took about 3 years for me, but I got it right. Got my kid and everything. And so, but the thing is, I wanted to do it so bad, but when you're on survival mode, when you're taking everything, my resources were depleted. You know what I'm saying? And and so when you're trying to prioritize, I was triaging, so I had to prioritize what I had to do, and I was younger, and so, and the thing is, I know how it is in them courts. They would pretend you didn't submit documents. They would almost disregard you, like what you're saying doesn't make sense. It's like, and then the rudeness and the politeness is when they got the mallet. So Walker, that's it. He like, and then they're like, okay, have a good evening, and it's almost like you feel like it's a conspiracy against you because everything that you're submitting, everything that the argument you're making is just being disregarded. And it's like, and then they tell you as though even though being married, they almost treat you like you don't have any rights.
And you know, there's a way around that I've discovered through my journey over the last year. Those same pitfalls where you're saying something to the judge and they're saying, "Oh, you didn't do it properly," this and different thing, and then you're saying something that you know to be true, and they're saying, "No, it's not true." And there's little things you can do, little techniques you can do to overcome that in court and win. I've gone to court, countless of hearings over the last year, and I'm happy to say that I don't believe I've lost one hearing yet. The mother was found in contempt at least 4 times in open court, and although the judge did not act on the contempt against the mother, any little thing that I might have said that may have seemed out of character or defaming the mother to a bit, they would be on me. But the judge was pretty fair in my case, I would say. But, you know, the law doesn't allow the judge to do too much. And going over this Good Dad Act, and there's another bill, 1301, that determines, you know, visitation rights for the father. It does say it was passed on July 30th, July 1st also this year. And it's a bill that determines 50-50 for the parents. So you walk into court with a 50-50 presumption, and the other party has to overcome the presumption by saying why you don't deserve 50-50. In the past, you go to court, you beg for time, and the judge is begging the mother. If she's not agreeing, you don't get nothing. Right now, you actually go there as a matter of law. You're entitled to 50-50 with the exception of child abuse and domestic violence charge that's been convicted against you. Then you're gonna get the time with you. The law is different now, but it needs to be practiced. Now.
There are certain things, and again, for me to end up getting, because it was just such a struggle.
Yeah,
and I still
the law was not on your side before.
Yeah, and that's
it was against you.
I end up getting it because the weird thing is, you can have the child's mother have several violations when it comes to not honoring the demands of the court, saying if you do this, if you violate the father's right, you do this, you show it, you bring the child.
You get a slap on the wrist every time.
It's a slap on the wrist, and it's always this: I'm not playing. One more time. The one more time comes. You think I'm playing, young lady?
You were in the same court as me, look like, because that's exactly what she said to her. But it didn't matter.
Dr. Jennings, this is what I'm saying. When we having conversations on the street and having face to face with people, that's not true. And I'm like, millions. We're not talking about you saying thousands. We're talking about millions of people experiencing this, and they're acting like it's not true. We're like,
when I have this meeting every Tuesday night, if I had a hat that told the story and passed the hat around, every man would wear the same hat with just a little twist to what is going on. So the judges must see the same thing, but they allow it to happen because they don't care, or because the law wasn't strong enough that gave them the teeth to make a different decision in the case. And most of the times, honestly, they didn't care.
No, they don't care.
Because
I mean, the things that I would produce, my paper trails, where it was on point, and it's almost like, here's this date, this date, this date. You remember? And then I remember I quoted them. I'm like, you said this. The one more times became 5 times, Judge.
And let me tell you another thing too. If you go to court and you don't have your own court reporter, that makes a big difference. If you have your own court reporter, it makes the judge honest. I noticed in my hearing that there was times when I had a court reporter, and there was times when I didn't have a court reporter. And the times when I had a court reporter, I believe the posture and the way the judge articulated the case was definitively different.
It's almost like the police in the cell phone.
Yeah. So from now on, when I go to court, definitely it's an extra expense to get a court reporter, but you get the court reporter because now you have a record of what happened, and you can go back and challenge it. Without a record, then you really can't challenge what happened.
Yeah, because your record is not valid.
No, your record's not valid. So but honestly, though, I think the justice system did my son well, because it's not about me; it's about my son and the best interest of my son. I have my shared parenting with him. The judge is I actually had my final hearing this past Monday, and the judge is going to come out with a ruling within the next week to determine what the future will be for our parenting time with one another and my child. But I'm fortunate because I hear so many stories of men that have spent $30,000, $40,000, haven't seen their child in 2 years. The mother's not letting them talk on the phone. They don't know where the child is. I have this one man that's part of the group that he's 61 years old. He's about to go into retirement. He's been paying child support for the last several years for a woman that he had just just one misgiving with that produced a child. The child is 34 years old now. I said the person is 34 because he has some kind of mental issue. The man does not believe this child is his. For the last 7 years, he's been paying an attorney to get a hold of this mother in Georgia, where they were in Florida before, and he doesn't believe the child is his. But because the young man has a mental deficiency, he's going to be paying child support for the rest of his life, even through his pension. And he does not believe the child is his. And I've had another gentleman that's part of the group. He's hasn't seen his daughter in 2 years, 2.5 years. He knows the daughter's in Georgia. They're taking the money from his check to pay the child support for the daughter, but he don't know where the child is
because of the lack of rights unwed fathers have.
Right. At the time when that happened to him, he didn't have rights to. A lot of times when it's happened, they take your money from you. You don't know what to do, and you don't have the money to fight. Yeah. So you just do the next best thing. But
and the unfortunate thing you was mentioning earlier, when you pressuring the judge saying, well, okay, this is an easy fix. Just have her get an address and we'll serve her. But I can't. It's funny how they can control you and saying what they can and cannot do. But when it's convenient, you telling them, well, all you do tell them. You can demand, I do what I need to do, but you can't demand they give you an address so we can.
The judge gave an order last June saying that both parents are required to tell the other parent where you are with the child when the child hasn't. She, to this day, since last year, has not informed me where she lives with my son. I happen to have found out and was able to serve her with a process server at her home. And I've never been at her home. I never did a drive-by or anything like that because I don't want to get accused of stalking her. She's trying to say I'm stalking her. So I've never even been in the neighborhood, but I know where he lives now. I was able to serve her. I pick up my son from school, drop him off at the school so I don't have to have interaction with her, which is fine for me because I'm in a new relationship. I'm in a very happy, loving relationship with a very mentally stable, emotionally stable woman that's supportive of me. I'm supportive of her. We work in a good working relationship like a couple should have. And that was the crux of it. When she found out that relationship was going on, she got twisted and decided to wreak havoc on me and destroy the relationship with me and my son, which is only more harmful to my son than it is for me, which is unfortunate.
They don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do what we're gonna do is right quick. We're gonna go into station identifications.
Okay.
And we will right back on fathers' rights.
And the Good Dad Act.
And the Good Dad Act. All right. Suave afternoon, suave afternoon, suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. So it is so many benefits to being proactive. I remember during the recession, I would hear people saying, listen, I need a job. And they wouldn't hire people who need it. And the person, they hired a person who had a job and they applied for another job as opposed to I don't have a job.
That's time to look for a job is when you already have one.
Yes. And again, Brother Frederick was saying this, I try not to get so caught up on religious philosophy and how spiritual are, but a foundation is so important because it gives you some morals and values, no matter if you're a Muslim, a Catholic, or a Jehovah's Witness, or a Christian, or a Baptist, or whatever. You have to have respect. You can't do that. You can't do that stuff. And so we teach them emotional intelligence, teach them how to think about things before they react. Can't be impulsive. These are some of the learned behaviors as you listen. Just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave with our very special guest, Dr. Jennings. We're talking about father rights, some of the challenges that fathers around the nation are experiencing as a result of their rights being violated. And we have the Good Dad Act that has been initiated in Florida, and hopefully it'll be very effective, it'll be effective throughout our entire country, thanks to Dr. Bernard Jennings. So, Dr. Jennings, I had something I wanted to address. This is funny, but again, it's like people don't like to be stereotyped. This is a stereotypical scenario. Everything's going good, not perfect, just functional. Two parties decide to go their separate ways because these subjective thoughts and brains, not objective but subjective. Well, we'll get back together. I'm gonna just have my little time to do my thing. When people separated or divorce or break up, that's exactly what it is. It's just that people think, well, it's a possibility that we'll get back together. But what happens is, let one party know that another party is involved with another party. It's the worst thing you can do. And all of a sudden, you're a monster. All of a sudden, the child's afraid of you. All of a sudden, you never done anything. All of a sudden, there are abuse allegations. All of a sudden, you're getting served. All of a sudden, you've been violent. All of a sudden, and this is the thing, and I'm gonna just tell you. And again, I had never been afraid to talk about gender issues. It's consistent. So people say, well, you seem like you're singling out, you're pointing fingers. Well, I'm sorry. You get
it is what it is.
Facts don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And they always, oh, it's not true. It is true. And unfortunately, if the courts had enough balls, they would have been called them out. They would have been say it's no coincidence that every time somebody come in my courthouse, it's true. I mean, this is happening. That's BS. And I'm sorry. You know how they say that the burden of proof is on you? No, I'm just going to go by because remember, before you're a judge, you're an attorney. And before you're an attorney, you're a student. And before you're a student, you have aspirations. So a lot of times you get data before you become a student. You have an interest in it. You hear all these stories. So you want to initiate, you want to be the person for change. Then you're a student, you're getting all these numbers, all these statistics, all this stuff. And then you become a professional. And you're having all these experiences now. Mm-hmm. And then you become a judge. It's no way that these people should just cut that in, but all of a sudden, and it's too much data, even talking about fathers, you don't even have to be have a level of custody. If you are involved in the child's life, a male, a father, it makes a significant difference in self-esteem, substance abuse, drop out of high school. So just imagine if you had custody of them.
Yeah. Statistically, when a father has, when they look statistically compared to fatherless homes versus motherless homes, and the performance parents of the child in the father home with the father, with a mother or without the mother, the child statistically performs better than a child without the mother. Now, I love women. I love mothers. I have a mother. I grew up with my mother. My parents were divorced. I lived with my mother till I was 12 years old. I got a sister. I love my sister. I've got daughters. But a child being exposed to the father helps the son to be have a higher level of self-esteem. If he's a good father, he has a level of respect for authority, not only the teachers, but the police, a respect for women, and a respect for himself utmost, so that he knows what level of the line not to cross. Whereas mothers babysit their sons for life, and they put greater expectations on their daughters. Because a lot of times you hear when the mother, single mother has a son, oh, that's my little king, that's my man, that's my little husband.
No, don't be parented.
That's not. You don't. That's the problem right there. Yeah. He's not. He's your child.
Exactly.
And then he grows up thinking he has the authority with you over you, and you're giving him all these. When a kid gets in trouble in school, and his mother comes to the school, and it's a little boy, they're defending the boy, curse not the teacher. Right? I've seen this as a PTA parent for my daughter. When a daughter gets in trouble in school and the mother comes in about the daughter, the mother's on the daughter hard, but the son get the pass. And you know what? Sons don't need a pass all the time. That lack of discipline, and when I say discipline, I don't mean punishment. That lack of discipline and proper guidance is what a boy needs. They're more rambunctious. They're a little bit more immature than a girl their age, so they need a little bit more structured entertainment, a little more structured extracurricular activities, a little more structured conversation, and it's a repetitive over and over again because, you know, all little kids at some point are knuckleheads. You know what I mean? I know because I was one. So, you know, you got to tell them over and over again. You have to have that patience to do so. And fathers do that for their kids. And
well, I'm gonna play the typical scenario of a lady. That's not true. Everything you said, I didn't hear that. All I'm gonna say is that's not true. You get it?
Well,
and it's true. It's
true.
And it's always like, I'm like, you're saying it, but who's raising us?
And in regards to,
and we don't have to put the disclaimer, not all, because we know that. It is so. When I say wonderful, powerful parents out there who are assertive, and because I tell a lot of ladies, when you're a parent, you have to be a parent, not a mother. You have to operate objectively, because at certain things you have to modify the way you behave, where you act, in your language. You can't sit there and tell your boy child, listen, anybody hit you, you hit them back. Unbeknownst to you, you telling your male child to beat girls. Because he can't differentiate when you say anybody. So, but that father, the way we think in the whole big picture. Wait, hold on, son. Your mother definitely meant well. You do not hit girls.
Right.
But the same, and so this makes a difference in terms of our whole mindset. And this is when I tell people it's just so much in the dynamics of households, social engineering, because you changing the whole makeup of how a male child thinks. You know, you got to remember accountability. You may not be one held accountable, but at the end of the day, if you do not prepare that male child to take ownership and responsibility, it's going to be some serious legal ramifications, because you see, he's not going to understand authority. And fathers don't go backwards and forth with their kids. Like with peers. There are consequences. Like, hey, son, we're not having this conversation. I want to know, did you understand what I'm saying? Yes, sir. That's
And to touch on the false allegation that you talked about a minute ago, when the other party realizes that you've moved on officially, and they realize the flash that, oh my God, it's never going to be, and they go try to file domestic violence against you. I've seen it time and time again. And then even though they're proven with no merit, and you go to court and they get thrown out, they can come back the next week and file another again. After 2 weeks, they go back again. You've gone to the state and said, hey, state of Florida, the great seal of the state, I'm in fear of my life. She actually filed stuff that my son is in fear of his life of me, but yet they can go back again and again and file. There's no ramifications. And then for the man, and the judge asks, I don't see the evidence of what she's saying, but she's visibly upset, showing her emotions in court. So in an abundance of caution, I'm going to give you a 6-month stay away. Boom. So somehow they know that when they do that, when you go to custody hearing and you got a 6-month stay away, now you lost visitation with your child. Because you can't go near the mom. So when it's over, when you come back, and under the law, if you have 6 months and you haven't had communication with your child in 6 months, then you're not entitled to visitation anymore. You have to go through the process of doing supervised visitation at some center in front of some adult.
Yes, you remember, I used to do the supervised visitations, the unsupervised. It's a mess. And the thing is, and this is why I tell people, it's a difference between man, a grown boy, and an adult male. Because guess what? It took me 3 years of going through the HE hockey stick. And guess what? They do everything in the world to discourage you.
It's emasculating.
When you get frustrated and leave, it gives those women more ammunition to say, you see what I told you? So you can't let them be right about it.
And here's the problem. If you repossess my car and I'm paying $300 a month, and you come and take my car away, am I going to continue to pay that car note? No. And a child is not a car, but many fathers don't pay the child support because they're upset. That's their only retaliation for what had been the injustice that had been done to them. And then that builds up to $5,000. Now they lose their driver's license. When they get to $10,000, they lose their passport. And then if they get caught at a traffic stop, now they go to jail. Now they got a criminal record because they didn't pay their child support. And it's a snowball effect. They lose their job. And now that they've been to jail and they're still trying to get custody, oh, you're a criminal. You got a conviction. You got this. It's over.
it's crazy because I remember going through it. I'm like, when it was child support, and I got my 2 kids with me, right? And they're saying, well, you got to pay, the outside. Now you remember, philosophy came from religion, and law came from philosophy. So what happens is, I was even making that argument. I'm like, um, I gave you my financial affidavit. It was during the recession. I lost everything. I don't have any resource. I make very little. I said, watch this now. I'm telling you how straight violations. We're talking about 20 years ago. So watch this. Now, Judge, you know that I have an obligation to take care of my children, especially those under my household. I cannot afford to pay that over $1,000 a month with an 18 to pay that when I have to eat, and my 2 children that I have custody of I have to feed them, house them, and everything. And you're saying what you demanding what I used to pay or what I supposed to pay, or else I'm going to jail. I said, listen to this. That's unreasonable. In addition to, if I pay you that, I don't even get paid that, but I got to give it that for that one child. But I got 2 children here will be starving, homeless. So if I go to jail, that means, watch this. Not only will I be taken into custody, but I have 2 minor children who will, now I got a child abandonment. Now they go into defects. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now
it's a snowball effect.
Yeah. And then how am I going to get out? Because I'm not going to have the money or the resources. So by the time they bounce out and I finally release, my children are already in foster care and separated and everything.
Wait, you forgot something. You lost your driver's license, so you can't drive. And when you drive again, now you're a repeat offender. So you got to get.
And that the thing is, they don't care how you get it.
Yeah.
But you see how unreasonable that is.
It's unreasonable.
It's completely unreasonable. And again, I stress to the judge. I says, you know how they do student loans?
Mm-hmm.
I said, why can't you do the child support like that? Meaning, because if I was making all this kind of money that required me to pay that kind of money every month, because they already violated me and told me your earning potential. So regardless of you're not making anything right now, regardless if you're homeless or not, we're not going to modify and reduce your child support monthly. And it constantly increasing. So like, wow, it said your earning potential. Yeah, but you asked for a financial affidavit and you're supposed to base it on that.
On that, right.
I don't care if I'm making $5 a month. You supposed to base it on that. But no, they did not. Like I say, they will constantly violate the man's rights and don't care what your situation. So whatever I had to do to pay that to prevent me from going to jail and being abandoning my kids. And remember, men, not grown boys, that ever do what you got to do, because I had an obligation to those boys. I still had an obligation for that one. But at the end of the day, especially those under my household. And again, this is stuff that's religion. This is stuff that's biblical. This is philosophy that made the laws. That's the premise of the laws. It's philosophy.
Yeah.
But they're not going to acknowledge it at all, brother.
But thank goodness, as we move into the positiveness of what's going on right now, the Good Dad Act is passed. It is law. It is different now. And we have to educate people, the masses. We have to educate counselors. We have to educate school principals. We have to educate police officers, guardian ad litems, and agencies, so that they know when they're dealing with a man in a situation in the state of Florida and other states as we move forward, that the father has rights just like the mother. He stands as the mother stands with the same rights and responsibilities as the mother to care for the child, to educate the child, to provide religious upbringing for the child, to make health decisions for the child. And we need to pass this bill and let people know, so that because you can have a good lawyer, you can have a bad lawyer. You can, just like you have a good dentist and a bad dentist. And you can go to court, and if the lawyer doesn't understand the law, the new law, and he defends you based upon the old law, then you can get taken advantage of still. You can go to court and still lose and not get 50%. But if you know the law, you know the rules, and you have a court reporter, and you go to court as a man, if you're pro se, you have to go non-emotional, very rational, and don't be triggered by the underhanded, undercutting things your significant other is saying to you. I'm giving good advice here. And then you speak factual about the situation, speak to the facts, less emotional, not so talkative. Don't go into the past, stay in the present, address the future, then you can win in court and you can have the time with your child and you can get what you need to get on behalf of your child. And in regards to the false allegations, if you learn how to do something once, they say once you learn and once you have an education, they can't take it from you.
Yeah.
So I have filed another bill in this year's legislature that's going to go through. It's having a little difficulty right now. It's called the legislation to address false allegations and paternity fraud. So what the bill is saying is that when someone goes and files a false domestic violence accusation against the same person 2 times in a row and has been found to have no merit, and they've been found not guilty, and the person comes for the 3rd time within a specified period of time against that same person that you're scared of, but you're still trying to hang around them, and you come back, then it's now considered a misdemeanor. And depending on the degree of the allegation is the degree of the punishment that you're going to face. Because once they make that false allegation and it's a 15-day stay away, you lose your gun license if you have one. If you're a realtor or a terminal professional, a mediator or an insurance agent, anything you have a state license, you're in jeopardy of losing that license because all those licenses are based upon a moral interpretude. You can lose your livelihood for a domestic violence accusation that is not true. Yeah. It's not fair. And the person can go over and over again right now and make allegations. And it doesn't matter. There's a man that came through our program. He went to jail for 5 years for paternity, for not paying his child support. He was behind his child support. And then when he got caught up with it, he was behind. He went to jail for 5 years, went to the court, and the judge says, let's do the test. Did the test, came back. Mr. Smith, you are not the father. The son is a grown college student. You are not the father. The mother's in court said, Mrs. Smith, do you know who the father is? She says, yes. Exactly. I'm still in touch with him to this day. And you knew he wasn't the father? Yeah, I kind of knew he wasn't the father, but I didn't say anything. Yeah. What's the ramification for that mother? No. Under the law? Nothing. Exactly. It's not against the law to lie. It's not like God. This man went to jail, lost his liberty, lost his job, lost his new family because the woman lied. So the law is going to say if that happened, if you commit paternity fraud, then now you owe the money. You owe the money back. Restitution. And you got to pay. You got to pay retribution, and you have to do some of community service. So that's the bill that's in the legislature this year. It doesn't have a name yet, but it's going through the process. If it doesn't make it this year, it's going to make it next year. So that'll be the second bill that I do, and I'm going to push it not only in Florida, I'm going to push it in every state of the country. So if anybody wants to help out with that, you can get a hold of me at the Good Dad Act Committee, which is www.gooddadact.com. The phone number is 786-529-0014. If you're having a problem, if you're listening to this podcast, you're having a problem with your child and being able to access your child, feel free to join the Good Dad Act Committee. We give information. We have a meeting every Tuesday night at 8. We have attorneys come on that speak to you free of charge. We have judges. We've had 3 judges, sitting judges and magistrates that come to the meeting just like this and talk to the group of fathers, and you can ask questions and get questions for answers for questions and get advice. The judge can't give you legal advice about your case, but if you framework your question to the judge as a general question, you get some great information. If you talk about the procedure, what's going on in court, they give them. The judges can't talk about things that they become before them, but you can frame it in a way that you can get the information you need. And the attorneys, for sure, we've had an attorney last week from West Palm Beach, Nancy Atkins, who's a family law attorney. She gave some great advice. The program lasts for an hour. It went on for 2 hours, and people did not want to get off the line. They just had so many questions. She was happy to answer the questions. This has touched attorneys and people across the state of Florida. I'm getting calls, at least 2 or 3 calls a day from someone somewhere in the United States saying, hey, Mr. Jennings, Dr. Jennings, I heard about this issue. I heard about the Good Dad Act, and here's my scenario. Can you help me? I point them to the right direction. I've got copies of the bill that they can use for their cases. Right now, if a father hasn't had time to see his child because the mother told the school, he can't see the child. The school listens to them. Now, if you present this 775 to the principal, there's a 1-page summary that I give you and I give it to the fathers. Had a father report just last night. He brought it to the school. The principal looked at it. She said, here, sir, fill this paperwork out. Now you're going to be on the official list of the school. You're free to come here and meet with the counselor. You can have a parent-teacher counselor meeting. You can come and see your son at school and talk to him. You have the same rights as the mother. Unless the court order says that you cannot go to the school and see your child, then you're free to go see your child at the school. And now the school encourages it because of the new law.
Yes. And that's great, man. I commend you. I thank you for it, man. I really do. To be honest with you, this is so powerful, and because we did a sort of late promoting of it as a result of what was going on today and this week, I would like to personally invite you. Could we do a part two?
Oh yeah, most
Consider your
definitely. I'm
schedule.
ready to come back. Not a
So,
problem.
would you be available next Wednesday at 8:30 or no?
Yeah, let's do it again
Okay,
next
you know
Wednesday.
what? Great, man. Because I'm just laughing, man. See, this is the thing. You're a blessing to humanity, champion.
Hmm.
Because again, I tell people the world's about the strong helping the weak. You
Hmm.
know, it's not the masses, it's the individuals. The
Hmm.
exception that makes the change. It's not the masses.
Yeah, it take just like when it comes down to election day. Sometimes it comes down to one vote. Don't think that your vote don't count. One person, one man, one woman can make a difference. It takes that one person, that one straw that breaks the camel back. I told you that on December 9th of last year, I became my son's father. Technically, my problem with the court ended on that day because the judge at that particular moment saw me as an equal because I was now the father. But I didn't stop there. I already started the ball rolling to help fathers across the country.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to stop because what happened to me, I have vowed will not happen to another man if I can help it. That a
yeah,
mother can decide on her own, arbitrarily and capriciously, that she no longer wants to co-parent and just pull the child from school and pull the child to another state, go to Texas or Georgia, and then strip this child of his other parent. That is not right. You're hurting the child more than you're hurting the other parent, because a lot of men have the ability to move on. They may not say to you that, you may not see that they're hurting inside, but they're hurting, but they're going to move on with another family and everything. But then the child goes through their life, women
many you.
yearning for the touch of a man in a fatherly daughter way, not an irresponsible way, but the woman wants to have that interaction with her dad where she can
Yeah,
get peace from him and feel the security of her dad, support of the dad, the self-esteem from the dad. And they don't get it, so they latch on to other men. So you have incidents of young ladies having children out of wedlock because they're searching for the love of a man. So they're looking to this other young man instead of looking to the father for the appropriate type of love. They get confused with what love is. And then they're witnessing how the mother has treated the father and think that's the way you're supposed to treat your significant other, when it's not a very respectful relationship. And then that daughter goes on to have a very challenging life dealing with men, and either not married or in and out of broken relationships because she didn't know how to respect and
yeah.
honor her spouse.
Well,
And then
that's
for the
the thing. Next week we'll be talking and seeing how that directly
we'll talk
connects.
more about that.
Because again, and me talking things from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. The social perspective is on sanity cycle.
Hmm.
The clinical is patterns and repetitions, and the spiritual is generational curses. As you see how that directly connects when we try to remove fathers and they don't have that touch in terms of the men raising their sons and teaching their daughters how what
Yeah.
respect is and interacting and how we
Chastity. The fathers teach your daughter chastity, and the
yes,
fathers teach his son authority and respect
yeah, and so
for
that's how
himself
it
and
is.
others.
Yes, and so these things hurt us, and we take it for granted. And
Hmm.
again, this is why a lot of times we have this resentment for our fathers, and a lot of stuff is not true. It's almost like every post I put, I always say the puppet master has been exposed
Hmm.
because a lot of stuff that we have perceived about our fathers don't even be accurate at all.
Yeah.
It's an exception that it is, but a lot of times it's just basically being exploited, we being manipulated as
Yeah.
children, and then we find out only when we become fathers and realize, like, wait a minute, could this be a generational curse or a situation that's repeated itself as a
Mhm.
result? And you won't identify, but man, listen, it's been amazing having you on the show. Listen, I'm excited about next week because we're gonna be that flyer. We're just gonna repost it and then get
Yeah.
our people ready for and make sure you have all your resources.
Hmm.
Have everybody that's on your team and all around the country to be able to tune in so they can interact and present me with questions, man, because it's been incredible. So it was no way that we can really do this in a time. And you were right, we can able to discuss these issues. And I'm happy and I'm honored, you know,
I
because
appreciate you.
you're going to be long and gone, but this have
It's a
secured
true
and shaped
legacy.
a
It's
lot
a
of
true
things.
legacy.
Yeah, this is your legacy. And so I dropped the ball on that. But over the years, being a Black male therapist,
Mm-hmm.
teaching nurturing parents, doing trauma,
Mm-hmm.
I got my stamp, my imprint on changing lives, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you. So try to give that last email, gooddads.com, and just tell them how they can contact you.
So if you want to learn more about the Good Dad Act, go to www.gooddadact.com. Gooddadact.com. There's an application to be a team leader or to be a member. I didn't mention that Good Morning America is going to be doing a story on us, and they're taking information as we put it through in other states. They're going to be following a couple fathers that we put in place so that they can follow them through the legislation being passed, and then they'll air the story on Good Morning America sometime, maybe January, maybe February, March. So it takes time to put it together. But that's something going on. The Dade County School Board on December 20th, 11 a.m., they're going to have a regular school board meeting. I'll be there with a bunch of fathers from the Good Dad Act committee, and they're going to recognize the Good Dad Act at the Dade County School Board level and the effect that it's going to have on children and helping children connect with their parents, both their parents. And thank you so much. If you want to call me, you can call me at 786-529-0014, 786-529-0014. I take calls if you need help, getting the information you need and what to put through a court process so that you get a hold of your child. I'm not an attorney. I can't give you legal advice, but I'll give you the educational advice. You can come to the Good Dad Act committee every Tuesday night and get some self-help from these other fathers, get some free legal advice, and hopefully reconnect with your child. I'm Dr. Bernard Jennings, and I'm sticking with it.
Yes. Hey, like I said, man, thanks a lot, Dr. Jennings. I appreciate you. And just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Yes. Good night.
We're shining bright. And we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet. Our neighborhood, our world. Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlisters Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers